Good stuff over the last week. Just have some notes in the doc. I reordered it so the most recent is at the top, not at the bottom. Easier to find. So Kyle, I think it's great. All the work done on the idle MR triage reports, triage issues. So good stuff. I took a look. I don't know. Do you want to maybe bring one up and share the screen, and we can kind of review it together? What it might look like.
Yeah. Let me bring it up real quick. All right. So this was like, I would say, an early prototype. I've asked, originally the ask was just to really have what I'd say is in this section, the 4-week stale. I did capture all the numbers for 2-week stale as well for all the groups that we did dry runs for. It's a very simple triage package. The idea here is that it's assigned to the same people that the team triage package is. This looks at all MRs that have not been updated within 4 weeks. It's just kind of displays them, has very simple guidance of review these MRs to identify if there's any steps to shorten the time to merge, and some suggestion here. There are some additional suggestions on what to do. Usually when we do a team triage package like this, we try to communicate broadly in advance and make sure there's a clear action for the triage package owners, because otherwise there's a lot of confusion and then it won't get off to a good start. So I provided some feedback to Jinshin, who worked on the triage package, just to make some adjustments, like show only the 4 weeks section. And then he shared that those should be done next week. He is off on Monday as well, so I think it won't be till the middle of the week. And we can start to communicate out to the triage package owners and create an issue for feedback after doing a 1 or 2 runs, which should be every 2 weeks. One of these will be generated, so it's not going to increase load significantly.
Yeah, I think it looks great. I think it sounds a great plan. One thing is little separate topic or tangent topic. If this is successful, which I think it will be, as we tune it, we're actually initially going to see an increase in MRs merged greater than 30 days because people are going to be more aware of them. That doesn't mean it's not. That doesn't mean it's, if we see that, we should see maybe the MR rate go up a little bit as well. But we should see an increase initially if it's working, and then a decrease because there'll be fewer of them out there.
Yeah, and that would be the metric that I think we look at is find how many MRs are are open past 2 weeks, past 4 weeks, and see how that trends over time. Because I think the right tail is going to skew as some of these that have been open for quite some time get addressed.
Yep. So I think it looks good. So probably in a week or so, we'll be ready to start creating the first ones for all the groups.
Yeah, I think next week we'll get it to a final state, look for final feedback from this group, get the communication ready, and then the following week is when we would run it for the first time. And that's assuming no major resistance or concerns.
How do you know how many is going to get generated per week? Is it once a week, and it's a global list for all the engineers?
So it would be once every 2 weeks,
okay.
And we would assign it to the EMs and PMs. I think the 2 weeks makes me feel a little bit better because we've heard feedback that the team triage packages a little bit.
And it's one issue per group, right?
Yes, one issue per group. We only create it for the groups that have stale MRs over 4 weeks. So in the agenda, if it would have ran this week, there would have been 21 reports generated for different groups for 63 total MRs.
How is that going to affect the current bugs and features triage package because they already have one every week? Would that
since
be... since this is for MRs, and that's I would say issue focused. It's like an additional triage package is the way I look at it. They don't really intersect unless I'm missing something. Right, but the load on the getting pings on issues for the rest of the team, that's where I'm coming from, because we've seen that some bugs and features triage package did not even get any movement when it comes to bugs. Like, nobody cared about it. They only look at features, and I wonder how that's going to affect the overall
sense of urgency and if it's going to be ignored.
It could be ignored. I think that's something that maybe we'd look at after a few weeks is what's the change, I would say. So like if one group has 6 issues in the first triage package, the 2 weeks later in the next one, are those same 6 there? It's hard to say, and I think different groups are going to treat it differently. Some may just close it automatically. Some may never look at it.
Tongue in
I'd
cheek,
be interested.
maybe we use these to select for issues to add to discuss in the iteration office hours. Of, if it's idle for a long time, that's indicative of, Monday. It might, I only say that tongue in cheek. It might be actually some of the ones we choose to encourage folks to discuss in that meeting.
Okay.
As I was going through these, a number of these that are still open just seem like they're low priority work. Like I don't have the best visibility into all of the groups, but it seems like they're idle not because they need to be broken down or refined, but because something else is more important.
That's a good observation. It is, so when they get back to them, they're lower priority. When they get back to them, they might be harder to merge because the base files they're based on have likely changed. We're not likely; they've possibly changed. So, I think we have that in the advice. If in the advice text is is to keep. Do we have that actually in the text of the triage report? If not, maybe we should add it. Is be careful. That's another negative of letting them hang out there.
We can add it. Yeah. I was going to say we can add it. I'm just a little.
Like I want to encourage people to take on opportunities, so I don't want them to feel like it. But if work gets deprioritized, then we may see that. So if that becomes back the justification, we may decide that there's no action here. If that's a majority of them, but I don't think we've seen that actually yet, right? Like we haven't proven that yet. That's a hypothesis at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. So after we do this and start getting feedback, I'd love to also start looking at some of the other metrics that we've found. Things like I don't have them all right in front of me, but things like number of the size of the MR, which can be measured in various ways. If that's outside, if it's looking like it's more like the ones that take more than 30 days, even when it's less than 30 days, and some of the other metrics. And I did take a look. Thanks, Lily, for pulling the data on threads. I did pull the data on threads, so that might be one we want to do as well in the future. So doing is less. So all merge requests, the average number of threads is 4. Median was 1. 90th percentile was 12 threads. For merge requests merged in greater than 30 days, average number of threads is 4-fold more, 16. Median's 9, and 90th percentile is 44 threads. So if we decide to go that route, we'd probably take something closer to a round number. But once it get with the average at 4 and the median at 1, perhaps if threads goes greater than 10, we'd want to add that, say, hey, there's a lot of discussion on this. Can it be broken up further? Is there some root challenge on it, et cetera? And state, most MRs are most merge requests have, less than 5 threads. This one has 10, so it's not a problem, but it's something potentially to look at because it might be something that can be something to take action on. And we've got the other metrics as well, but let's just go with this first one first on idle.
Thanks for digging in there, though. That's huge information. Like that really shows the fact that if a lot of conversations prop up, that's probably going to be a long haul MR to fix related to it.
Yep, agreed. To Mech's point on all of these, if these get ignored, then we'll want to figure out what we want to do differently, either to make them not ignored, these triage issues, or to use other methods. But let's wait and see. We'll publicize it, and I like what we're doing. But it might. I don't want to go into the other things we could be doing. But so let's start with that. But just know that they might. People get a lot of emails about a lot of issues, so they might get ignored.
Yeah, so I'm coming from looking at it closer. So I didn't get to review it when we discussed it last week. I'm not sure if adding the product manager here will help because we want to speed up the review. And it may be the reviewers instead, then they need to take a look at this. Just trying to be sensitive on what we may be hearing from product, and since I raised this. Another small iteration we can do is instead of 21 issues every 2 weeks, maybe just one issue, and then that's all the stale merge requests. That may be another alternative to lessen the noise and just have people work off one main list. That's a thought that I had.
Which group are we going to try this with first? Is it manage access?
I guess my plan was to try it for all of them.
Every
The way
group.
the report is built, that it would generate one report for every group.
Ah, okay. All right.
Yeah, we could do like Mech, what you're saying, we could do that with the current logic where it's just one report. We would want to tweak the format of it. I'd want to give that some thought.
So
I'd
you
want to give
roll
that a
out
little bit more
this
thought.
next week. You'll roll it out in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes.
Or keep the current format, but try with a few product groups first before
Yeah, we could do that.
all of engineering. That's up to Wayne and Christopher. They want to go that route.
I would lean towards all, because if they don't like it, they'll ignore it, and then get feedback. Ask for feedback from everybody, and then we improve on it iteratively. But there's definitely benefits to doing it with a smaller subset first to get initial feedback. But I'm fine either way, whatever the group prefers.
I'm okay with I'm okay with going big. The only thing actually I request is you either go next week or go the week of the 18th. I would not go the week of the 11th.
Mm.
Like throwing on a new process in release week is not an opportunity for success.
Then let's go the week of the 18th, you said?
Yeah, the week of the 18th sounds like the right thing. Because the other thing too is if it, like we've already gotten feedback about pressuring on MRs, pressuring on MRs. What I don't want it to be confused with is that we're causing that as much as we're just trying to look and see how we can get better convergence from that perspective.
Is there anything the development department can help in terms of communication, so people are aware that this is going on? I'm sure.
I'm not going to do it today, but Tuesday I'll. Wayne, if you remember to put it in the agenda, or I'll try to remember. Tuesday development meeting, we can review on Friday, and we can do that 2 weeks in a row from that perspective. That would be my mode. Plus, my channel, or senior director of development channel, development and Eng Manager. We could advertise on all three of those. And sounds like we should do that probably over the next 2 weeks.
Yep, I agree. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you
Cool.
for the support. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm just worried. If we launch something, then let's make sure people are aware. But if this is what the group decides, then yeah, let's go ahead.
We didn't set up any requirements, right? So let's see what the feedback is. I mean, I don't know. I could see going with one group sooner, maybe, but yeah, let's see what the feedback is. In that regard, maybe what I do is post early next week in Eng to say, here's something that we're going to try and see if we get feedback. And if we get a lot of negative feedback, then we can always push back or go to a smaller group to start with.
Yeah, my plan was before the meeting next week to have an issue in triage ops for feedback and the handbook update done, so that we could start communicating ahead of that and then get a sense going into our discussion next week if we have mostly supportive, or I'm sure some people will be concerned about adding another thing to the stack. I would say, like engineering managers. We've gotten that feedback before when we changed the team triage package. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how long the list is too.
Yeah, it's really not long. There's a breakdown that I linked to. I think in the merge request. In the merge request of, here's all of the groups with a dry run, how many it would be. So I think the most was 8 MRs.
This one, right, Kyle?
Yes, yeah, thank you, Max. Sorry. It's just getting
No, thank you. Thank you for doing all this work.
Yeah, so that's a good example. If everybody even just picks up one, you know, that's still pretty significant, believe it or
Yeah.
not. So I think that's the key aspect is you know, if folks feel like they have to do them all in the first go, then that may be challenging. But you know, at least be thinking about it.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't that list, like that breakup actually looks like good distribution of work to me. So if EM say to me, don't have time to do this, I'll be like, okay, well, what do these MRs consist of? Oh, well, this is a feature we're trying to ship. Well, don't you have time to commit to that, right? You know, kind of that would be my
Yep.
assessment.
Yeah.
The thing is, we may see the number of MRs, if this is successful, we'll initially see the number of MRs taking more than 30 days to merge go up because people will be catching up on the backlog of them. And
That's
then
right.
it go down over time.
That's right. So that's the other part is we'll have to somehow cross correlate these, but that's okay.
Yeah. The things I would be looking for in the second, like going into the second round of this, is how many remained in the report from the previous generation, how many were merged, how many were closed. I think the other thing we'll see is maybe just a lot of people going in and say, this isn't important, I'm just going to close it for now.
Yeah. Which that's good hygiene, right? Like if you if you did a code merge 30 days ago and you're expecting that code to still be the same state, it's either got to be really a part of the code base we're really not using. You know, like you might have to do just as much work to get it to update relative to that, would be my guess.
And this triage report, is it going to be into the main project, Kyle, or is it on a separate project? So the reports are separate. What's the current iteration?
What it does right now is it generates in a separate project. So it's not in the GitLab project, it's in the triage reports one.
That's cool. That's a great call. I like that. Cool. Let's get rolling. Thank you for all the explanations.
Nice end of the week result, Kyle.
Yeah.
It was all Jinshin. I'll pass on the thanks to him. He did all the work.
Have a great Friends and Family Day tomorrow, everybody.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Cheers.